You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back bay. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Buku signing on, John to the Hancock.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Once a Week. I'm Giannouloudis, and we got something special for you today. We're starting off with these new installments, and today's guest is Andrea Urciuoli. And she is studying mindfulness right now, and she has been able to help so many people out in her fitness classes, and she's even been able to make it to the local schools in the area and help kids learn about this, which have improved their days and improved their lives. So we wanted to get together and teach you guys about this mindfulness idea to help you guys out in your personal lives. That being said, guys, let's get right into it. So Andrea, tell us, what is mindfulness?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Billy. I'm excited to be on your channel.
Of course.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And this is my first one, so breathe. Okay, the question is what is mindfulness? So mindfulness is actually very simple. We tend to complicate things in life. Mindfulness is living in the present moment, not thinking about yesterday, forgetting about tomorrow, your to-do list, forgetting about what's going to happen, how am I going to get through this, am I going to get it all done? It's actually sitting here, enjoying this conversation, or listening to my school teacher, or finishing that exam, taking a moment to breathe, and I usually say in through your nose, out through your mouth. To breathe, it's calming your voice, lowering your shoulders, just releasing that tightness in your face and your neck, and whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't have to be a blast. It could be washing the dishes. Stop for a second. Don't view that as mundane. Actually, I'm just going to use that as an example. Washing the dishes. You don't feel like doing it. You're like, oh, this is gross and everything's dirty. Instead of going to that negative and saying, do I have to do this? Well, you do have to do it. It's a part of life. So maybe you put the water on and you say, in a mindful tone to yourself, you say, I'm going to feel the warm water in my hands. I can smell the lemon coming through. I can smell the lemon scent. Okay, that feels good. That triggers something positive. Lemon is happy. Reminds me of the sun. And there's a finish to this. There's completion. I look over, and all of a sudden, everything's shiny and clean. I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready to cook that meal. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm ready to whatever. If we are mindful in task, life is more pleasant.
So living in that moment, but truly actually trying to be in that specific moment.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So with this idea of mindfulness, what caused you to want to take it to your fitness classes in schools and local kids in the area?
So when I first started teaching this class called In Trinity, I teach at the local YMCA, I took it as fitness. I'm just going to work these students, and we're going to do Pilates and yoga and mix it all up. And it was going well, but there was some piece missing. So I decided to take an online mindfulness course, which is fabulous, and we can elaborate on that at a later time, but it's like the best thing I've ever done because it's helped me. It's helped me to help my students so they can help themselves. So I started to implement ways that they could use their breath so they wouldn't be so nervous and tense before they started this class. The class is tough, it's a little bit advanced. I try to take it to a lower level for beginners, but I noticed that new people come in edgy and intimidated. Instead of that, I would call it a non-judgment class. I would call it a class on mindfulness. And as soon as you say that word, it's funny. As soon as I started hearing that word, now I feel like it's like the buzzword lately in the schools. As soon as you say that word, people just start to smile. There's nothing negative. It's mind and fullness. So I started to call it mindfulness Pilates, and people just started to calm down. They just started to smile because they knew there was something authentic, and there was something positive and something non-judgmental. Because also mindfulness is non-judgmental. And I think I went off on a little tangent here. Did you ask me something else in that question?
No, you kind of touched on it, just like why you wanted to take it to fitness classes and local kids in the area at the schools.
And okay, so let me elaborate on that. So the local kids, I wanted to take it to the schools because I see it all day long.
Yeah.
Every kid that we know is on an iPad, has a cell phone,
It's true.
or wants a cell phone. And families, because of our lifestyle, have been disconnected,
Yeah.
focusing on this piece of electronic instead of being mindful. I think relationships have gotten pushed away.
Yeah.
Marriages, relationships with your siblings and friends, and it's kind of a lonely place to be, and I think it's really a negative place to be.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to demonstrate mindfulness to first graders, fifth graders, and third graders. That's what I was allowed to do so far on a small volunteer basis. And I started to see shifts.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if they could understand
Mm-hmm.
breath work.
Yeah.
Just taking a minute, not to overcomplicate anything, just breathing.
Yeah.
Just living in the present moment, not being so worried about, are they gonna understand it? Are they gonna sit right? Are they gonna go into meditation? I just took it to a human level.
Yeah.
I slowed down and I said, hey guys, let's do some breath work.
Yeah.
Some of them were laughing at me because I was like in through the nose, and I do this whole spiel of out through the mouth and extend your bellies, and they started to giggle, but that was okay.
Yeah.
That was how they thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about ways to reduce conflict in the home and in class, on the schoolyard, in sports.
Okay.
And they really started to open up their hearts.
Okay.
They started to raise their hand and say, I got into a fight with my little brother last night. He kicked over my Legos, and I asked this young girl, well, how did you respond to that? And she said, well, I told my mother, and I yelled at him, and I said, well, how did that make you feel? And she said, I don't know, I was still tense, I didn't feel good.
Mm.
So this was good, this was a good foundation. I wanted them to understand that that's a reaction, and that's not necessarily a positive reaction.
Yeah.
I wanted to teach them ways to reduce stress in the home by either touching a pet,
Okay.
patting a dog, patting a cat, walking away and just doing breath work. Even just little things like drinking a glass of water,
Yeah.
counting to 20, going outside and looking at the sky and looking at the trees and just embracing nature
Yeah.
for a few seconds. All of these things. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not anything unusual. And I certainly didn't develop mindfulness. This has been around for thousands of years. But I think because the way we live our lives nowadays, this fast pace,
Exactly.
eating dinner, standing up, or not eating dinner at all because we have to be somewhere,
Yeah.
not connecting with our family,
Yeah.
not connecting with our closest friends.
Exactly.
Things have just gone.
Yeah,
awry.
I agree with that too, because it sounds like mindfulness, it helps you break everything back down to the components that we have, like your senses. Whether it's breathing, your touch, like you said, like petting a dog, your smell with the lemon, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's bringing everything back down to the specific moment that we're in, because in the world we live in today, we focus on so much of the outside world, like you said, like kids on the iPad, but sometimes we forget our family members that are in the area, so we don't actually spend so much time with them because we're so focused on whatever else is going on in our lives. So again, trying to bring it back down to that specific moment that we can enjoy. So we
Right.
have that. That's all we have right now is this specific moment.
It's the humanness too, though.
Exactly.
And I think we've all lost sight of.
Exactly.
Just, and I realize, and I mean, I can be reactive too. I'm not saying that these children need to live their life that way. I'm saying for all of us, including myself, and I've tested myself to be non-reactive, or to say, okay, if somebody insulted me or didn't make me feel good, well, that's their thing. I don't have to take on that, negative feeling. I could just say, okay, well, that's how you feel, or that's an interesting comment.
Exactly.
Let's agree to disagree. And it just immediately diffuses the situation. So when I bring this to the class, I'm only allowed to do this for 10 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
I'm talking fast.
Yeah.
Because the teacher's looking at me, but the teachers are getting into it
Okay.
too. Because there are ways that they can communicate with the child and reduce conflict if there was something going on in the class. But I just can't believe that on such a young young minds understand this better than adults do.
Yeah.
They really
That's awesome.
know how to stop and
Yeah.
breathe. I think it's the adults that need to learn from the child, because they're able to say, who cares? I'm just going to walk into that room and walk
Yeah,
away. So
I get
this has
that.
been a learning curve for myself as
Yeah.
well. They give me examples, these
Yeah.
kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. It's exciting.
That's incredible. I love how you're able to go to the local school areas too. But now let me ask you this: how did you come to learn about mindfulness and all of this?
So, great question. Through my childhood trauma, I grew up in a home where there was a lot of conflict. Nobody taught me how to reduce conflict. So I would either react, overreact, or underreact, which means I wouldn't even stick up for myself.
Okay.
And then I've had some struggles, and I just got out of a very tough relationship. So it replayed itself in life.
Gotcha.
It was almost like there had to be a shift.
Yeah.
There had to be a change. Something is not working. I'm not feeling, my energy field is not, something's not feeling good in my temple, my body, my heart, my soul, my mind.
Yeah.
So instead of blaming somebody else or blaming the past or blaming a situation, stop and say, what can I do?
Exactly.
I don't know. I just asked for it. I put it out there in the universe, and all of a sudden I started seeing the signs for mindfulness. I think I started on a YouTube channel.
Really? Yeah.
I was Googling something, and it said free online course. Take this mindfulness course. I'm like, why not take this course? It's free. I'm doing it at my home. In my home, it's 8 weeks long. So through the negative, I had to find something.
Exactly.
I had to make a shift.
Yeah.
And not put the blame on anyone else. Get out of victim mode and say, what was this quote you and I had talked about, my favorite philosopher, Dr. Wayne Dyer, this famous philosopher, doctor, and I think he passed away a few years ago. He quoted on his YouTube channel, if you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things change.
Exactly.
As soon as I heard that, Billy, the shift already began.
Exactly.
I felt like somebody was telling me, take this course, do this work, talk to these kids, bring it into health and fitness. Somehow you meet up with Billy. Like this whole, like it's just the domino effect because you're putting it out there and you're actually looking for it.
Exactly.
So that's kind of how it all.
No, exactly, and I love that too because that quote by Wayne Dyer is just so true in just so many situations. Because you're 100% right. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. In the world we live in today, a lot of people tend to focus on just the negatives. But if you search out the negatives, you're gonna find them.
You're gonna find
But
it.
it works the same exact way. If you search out the positives, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find the outlet you need to make a change in your life. The goal that you're trying to pursue or the dream that you're trying to take a step towards. Like if you keep searching for it, you will find the doorway for that.
You will.
Exactly.
That is so true.
Yeah.
But I think it's you have to hit a certain place where there's nowhere else to go.
Yep.
You need to stop and say, okay, I cannot take my past and say, this is it.
Yeah.
This is me. This is how I was raised. I'm just going to go down this road. It is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
We have the power to shift.
Exactly.
We have the power to change. We have the power to be more mindful.
Yeah.
And we have the power to just take control and to help others.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And like this next question, you kind of touched on this already, but how can we use mindfulness to help ourselves each and every single day?
Great question again. I think we need to stop. We all need to stop. And it's not easy. I was in the process of I have to do these meditations every day while I take this course.
Okay.
And I hate to say the word forced, but you have to do these meditations. And they're long. Meditation is super hard. These are 32-minute meditations. So a lot of people would roll their eyes and say, how does she have time to sit there and breathe? Well, it's vital that we take that time and to shut the brain down for 3 to 5 minutes a day. We can get into the medical part on another time, but something with the gray matter in the brain. We can think better and absorb material better if we stop, shut it down, and try not to think about anything. Try not to think about, am I going to finish this? Am I going to get there on time? Am I going to complete my to-do list? I'm going off on a tangent. What was the question again?
How can we use mindfulness to help ourselves each day?
So we need to stop.
Yeah.
We need to do breath work. and we need to focus on the present moment.
Yeah.
We need to breathe and actually listen to your breath. Don't just sit there and say, okay, I'm just meditate for an hour and I'll be fine. It actually is a proven fact that sitting there and just breathing reduces anxiety. And it's also our body language too, like actually looking at the person that you're talking to.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to look into somebody's eyes and respond, because otherwise we're hiding from something and we're not being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's also this mirror effect too. So if I don't like how you respond to me, well then I'm giving you something for you to react that way.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if I'm sitting there saying, oh, I don't like the way, I'm just using you as an example because
exactly.
I don't really like the way Billy responded to my text message. You know, something's up. Well, you know what? That isn't that person.
Yeah.
That is me giving that to you.
Yeah.
And so it's this mirror effect. It's how we're giving, it's this positive. So being mindful of how we think, being mindful of how we speak, being mindful of how we treat people, and not always going in your brain to the negative, no matter what the circumstances, even if it's a very difficult situation that you have to encounter. Go into that situation with a mindful attitude. What is mindful? I'm going to stop. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to let the other person speak. I'm going to respond as best I can in the kindest, most mindfulness manner.
Yeah, that's awesome too, because you mentioned a couple times, you kind of have to, the main goal of this is to stop. You got to stay grounded, where it's like if things are hectic, if your mind is going haywire, you got to take a second for yourself and just ground yourself, be there, and just, whether it's breathing techniques or whatever it may be to focus on and calm yourself. That's something that's very tough for people to do today, but it touches on what you said earlier too. It's like you kind of have to get to that point when you're pursuing something where this is the only option. And that kind of goes hand in hand with what you just said, where like in any moment of the day where things are going crazy, you have to take a moment, you gotta stop, you gotta take a second. And then you find the way to go. It's the same thing with how we pursue our goals or our dreams, where it's like, which way do I go? This isn't what I want to do. And then you hit rock bottom. It's like, that's the only way I can go now.
It's the only way.
And that's the way.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with our days, like you just touched on, like that's how we help ourselves each day. Take a second. And I love that. Because that's something we've forgotten to do in the world.
You said the word grounding, and also grounding correlates with being centered and balance.
Yeah.
So if you take those three words, it's just like the word mindfulness. Like when I say that word, I smile.
Yeah.
But then when you said grounding, what else do I think about? Grounding, being centered, and balance.
Yeah.
If you're frazzled, you're not balanced. If you're thinking about 100 different thoughts, you're probably going to go into that situation and not come out just the way you want to be, because you're not being mindful of where you need to be. So just take that moment. Actually, a great way to do this, even for young kids and adults, is to, before you go into that meeting or before you go into whatever situation is and you're a little worried about it, go outside and look at nature. Just look at the sky. Look at the trees. That is a great way to get centered. And do just like a minute of breath work, then you can tackle that.
That's awesome.
Situation.
Exactly, right? I love it. I love it. And, I don't want to give everyone too much, because guys, we're going to have more installments on this, on mindfulness, but actually diving into bigger topics that Andrew has learned that we have talked about, and we want to get to you guys because we know it can help you in some specific way. And we don't know who it may help, but guys, if this is meant for you, take it and run with it. If this has touched you in some way, and you feel that it could touch someone else, someone close to you, that hey, this is something they need, share this video with them. Like I said, this will not be the only installment, guys. We're gonna have more of these installments together. But Andrea, that being said, is there anything that you want to end this first installment with for the people that have seen it?
Oh, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I do think it's important to get up in the morning, and before you run and grab your coffee or start text messaging whoever, or putting the TV on or music on, take a moment while you're sitting in your bed and just to center yourself. Start with the breath. Start out by saying, today's a good day. I got this. I'm going to walk through this day as mindfully as possible. I guarantee you're going to have a great day.
Yeah. I love it. So that being said, guys, keep your eyes open because Once a Week is coming at you every week with a new video. And stay tuned because more of these installments with Andrea are on the way. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where